Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we will be doing a flip through for my 2025 reading journal. And this is a Tiefossi journal that I got online. I purchased it during Black Friday. They had, I think it was like 20% off, so I was able to get this one and my actual 2025 bullet journal as well. So now we're gonna open it so I can show you what I came up with for my 2025 reading journal. So here we have the opening page where you can put your name. I haven't done that yet, but I'll go ahead and do that afterwards probably. Here is my first spread. This was initially going to be my index page, but as you're going to see throughout the spreads, I end up covering some of the page numbers. So then I decided to not do this as an index page. I will be looking up for a really cute reading quote and put it here later on. But as you can see, my theme is a lot of purples, a lot of flowers. I wanted it to somewhat match the cover of the journal, and here we have a lot of purple, a lot of blues and greens, but I mainly stuck with the purple in the journal. I also had a lot of witchy material that I purchased in Michael's during the holiday. They had a sale after Halloween and I purchased this here and I thought it was so pretty. I definitely want to use it for Halloween, but I did get some elements and some papers from here to use for my journal. I'll just do a quick little flip through of this so you guys can see all the cute papers we got. So I didn't go full blown witchy, but I did use some of it. Alright, so that's some of the paper that I used. I also have this origami set that I got from Michael's as well. It is so pretty. I attempted some origami, didn't work out. And let me just do a little flip through of this. It's so pretty. I did use some of the more marbled side, but for the most part I used the back solid color for most of my pages. But I think it's just so pretty. I can use it for a whole bunch of different setups, and it's a very thin paper, so it won't bulk up the journal as much as other things. I also used a lot of different PET tapes. For the main one that I used was this floral one. I believe this one is from Journalsay. Yeah, most of my PET stickies, washies are from Journalsay. I believe this is from Journalsay as well. This is actually from a zebra my liner set that I got from somewhere else, and then these are some other washi tapes. So next we have the actual title page, which shows you the year 2025 reading journal. As you can see, I incorporated a lot of the purple elements. This beautiful tape here is a PET tape from Journalsay as well. I have these really pretty stamps, moon set stamps that I got from Journalsay. And I believe these moth stickers, I got them in a set from Michael's. And then this spider web, I believe is from Journalsay as well. And this is from the cardstock that I initially showed you from Michael's. So here we have all the purples, the flowers. I went a little bit crazy with this, but I think it still came out so pretty. I am in love with all the purple, with the flowers, with the gold. I love it. Next up is my reading goals page. So for 2024, I had a goal of reading 20 books for the year. That was going to be a very difficult goal for me to hit because I usually just read maybe 1 to 3 or 5 books a year previously. Me hitting 20 books in 1 year is a pretty big deal for me. But actually, as of today in 2024, I actually ended up reading 55 books, which is pretty crazy. It is a lot of books. I think I read most of the books during the readathon that's hosted by G, the magical readathon. I think that's where the bulk of my books came from. So for this year, I put myself as a goal for 40, see if that goes, and if we end up reading more, I have a couple more spaces down here to fill up that reading goal. So down here I have all the months in the year. This is basically going to be my key. Each month will have a different color, and based on the number of books that I finish that month is what I'll use to fill in up here for my reading goals. Something that's new to my reading journal is this bingo board. I know a lot of people end up doing these bingo boards. There's some that are already pre-made, and then some people just, make up their own. I ended up using some prompts that I've seen around, and then I ended up making some of my own prompts here as well. So what I want to do with this bingo board is, once I fill it out, my prize will be to buy one book, whichever book I want, guilt-free. Some of you may not know, but most of the books that I do read come from the library, about 99%. I do have a few physical copies that I do own, but for the most part, all the books that I read are borrowed from the library. So if I'm able to complete this bingo, I'll let myself buy a book guilt-free and not have any issues with it. And so in this page, I end up using some more of that cardstock, some of my stamps and my stickers. I used a lot of little butterflies that were purple, and then I incorporated a couple more of the spider webs as well. Next up is my books read page. Here I have more than 100 spots basically to fill out the books that I end up finishing this year. I have a little column here for the number, I have the title, the author, the format, and then also my star rating. I tend to read a lot of audiobooks or listen to a lot of audiobooks, but I have been picking up more physical books, so I want to know the difference between, and I have a few that are ebooks as well. And then for the star rating, I'll just put the number here, so if it's a 1, 2, 3, 4 star, 5 star, I'll put it here instead of having to draw all the stars in one place. I gave myself plenty of space just in case I end up surpassing my goal, but most likely I'll just fill up these 2 pages. I just didn't want to create a second spread later on in the journal. Okay, next up, this is a first for me, a 25 in 2025. In 2024, I did not do a TBR. I usually don't like having a TBR because I don't own a lot of books. Most of my books come from the library, so it's dependent on what's available. So I don't like creating any TBRs. However, I did want to participate in a 25 in 2025. So basically, I would want to read these 25 books in 2025. I see a lot of other reading journal challenges that are like that. Here we have a couple of recommendations from other booktubers that I watch and others that I'm just continuing a series, and I try to incorporate not just romantasy or romance novels. I think I have some thriller, some suspense or horror. So just a quick rundown, we have Morbidly Yours, The 7-Year Slip, Beach Read, Next of Kin, Icebreaker, Two Twisted Crowns, Quicksilver, When the Moon Hatch, Honest Storm, Babel or Babel, Spark of the Everflame, Six of Crows, Empire of Storms, Tower of Dawn, Wisteria, Red Rising, City of Heavenly Fire. I want to start rereading the Harry Potter series, All the Light We Cannot See, Is Not Hysteria, The House Across the Lake, Strings of Murder, The Book of Azrael, Dowry of Blood, and Don't Let the Forest In. So it's a mix. I tried to put all the romance, the romanticy, and maybe a mix of like YA. We have some nonfiction, some thriller, horror, suspense, and those are down here. And now for the next page is my goals. I figured since we have another goal here, which is finishing 25 in 2025, I would put my regular goals here. I haven't filled this out yet. I will probably do that sometime this week and sit down and figure out what kind of goals I want to accomplish in 2025 containing to my reading journal or just reading in general. So yeah, and then here, this is something new. You haven't seen this one yet. These are little stamps that I have that I thought would be cute because the page looked a little empty. So I wanted to add these cute little stamps on the side, and then I'll write my goals inside here. Okay, next is a genre challenge. This was inspired by Mochi Bujo, which she has her own YouTube channel. And she creates beautiful reading journals and Bujo journals. She had, for her 2024, she had a genre challenge as well. And I thought it was a pretty cool idea, so I wanted to incorporate it for my 2025 journal. I have a whole bunch of these little stamps here that I put. I wanted to look kind of like a gallery wall. In here I have a couple of genres that I would like to read. So some of them are the usual and some of them are a little bit different from what I would read. So I have some romance, some science fiction, children's literature, mystery, horror, thriller, young adult, historical fiction, high fantasy, contemporary romance, and nonfiction. I think this page came out so pretty. I love this sticker right here. I didn't get to use it anywhere else, but I think it looks so pretty here. And then I added a couple more butterflies, the spider webs as well. I have these tiny little butterflies here and here as well. This washi tape with the script is probably one of my favorite washi tapes. I love it so much. It adds so much to the page, but it's so simple. Next up is a series tracker. This one I left it pretty simple since I will probably be writing a whole bunch of different series. I am currently reading about 4 different series, maybe a little bit more. Yeah, we just have some simple washi tape running down horizontally, and then I have these really pretty flower stickers, and some of them have the purple butterflies on it. Next up is my future reads, basically a TBR, but I don't really like calling it TBR just because calling it a TBR feels like it's a little bit more pressure that I have to read them versus these are books that I will want to eventually read but not necessarily have to read them. I think this is my favorite page. This washi tape or PET tape, oh my god, I love it. Let me show it to you. This is from Journalsay. So I actually think you're supposed to put it like this with the flowers facing up, but for whatever reason I thought it would look so cute facing down. It looks like falling flowers or like hanging flowers. I thought it was so pretty. It reminds me kind of Wisteria, the cover for Wisteria. Let's see, kind of like this right here, but I don't know, I just think it's so pretty. All the purple, the pinks, a little bit of green, and then I added a couple of butterflies here, and then I used my favorite script washi tape, and then I added a few leftovers of that washi as well, of that PET tape. So basically here will be any recommendations, any books that I see other people recommending. I'll just write it down here. And I know for my 2024 journal I had to add an additional page, so here I just ended up making a little Dutch door and having this additional page already. Next up is my monthly favorite page. Based on the books that I read, I pick a favorite from the month and then I'll write it down here. I didn't have enough space to write down the month, so I'm thinking either of just putting the initial for the month on the side or below it, or I'll probably just write it underneath. So I'm not sure how I'll do that, but we'll figure it out as we go. Next up is my top 10 favorites of the year. This is inspired by Jessie Corinne here on YouTube. She's not a big fan of book brackets because you end up only seeing what your number 1 book of the year was versus your top 5 or your top 10 in this case. And so she created this method where she puts a total of 10 books head to head, and you get to see which one has the most likes basically. So you do book A versus book B, you pick which one wins over those, and then you do the same thing, so A versus C and then B versus C, and you pick who the winner is for each category or each section. And so there you get to see what your top 10 is. For 2024, I ended up using my monthly favorites as part of my top 10, but it didn't work out for me that well. So here's an example. This is my monthly favorites, and in the month of December, my favorite was Part of Your World. But for the month of December, I also read One Dark Window. One Dark Window was actually really, really good. I really enjoyed it, but it wasn't my favorite of the month. It was Part of Your World. So this one came in first for the month of December. So what ended up happening was that for my top 10, I have all the books of my monthly favorite, but I much preferred One Dark Window over Divine Rivals. I liked it better than A Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches, and I think I even liked it more than Heartless Hunter. But because it wasn't in my top monthly favorite, it didn't make it into my top 10. For this year, what I want to try to do is basically pick the top 10 randomly or pick them based on the ratings. So I'll only choose 5-star ratings or 4-star ratings and not specifically from the monthly favorites. Obviously, the monthly favorites are there for a reason, so I will definitely be picking some from there. But if there's any that are not part of the monthly favorites, I would want to include it here so that I don't have the issue that I had for 2024. Alright, next up is my TV shows, movies, and games spread. I kept this one very simple just because I figured I would have a lot of writing in here. For my 2024 journal, I called it my 2024 reading and media journal, and that's because I wanted to write down any TV shows, any movies that I was watching during the year. This time around I just called it a reading journal, but I do have these included, so I have a spot for my TV shows. This one is a little bigger just because I tend to watch more Korean dramas than I do movies, but I do love a really good movie. So I have 2 columns for TV shows, and then I have 2 shorter columns for movies, and then this is a new one, which is games. This includes video games, any board games. I've been recently playing a lot of video games on the Switch and then also on the computer on Steam. So I will write down any games that I finished or tried to play during the year. I'll write those down here. And I just wanted a home for all my media things that I end up watching or consuming. Next up is my year in Eldia. So this is what the year in Eldia looked like for 2024. I'm waiting for the 2025 one to come out. I will put it in here and then I'll decorate it afterwards. I just wanted to leave a specific spot for it and not forget about it. So this is my stats page. I will, at the end of 2025, I'll put different stats here. For example, how many books I read, how many pages was it, how many were audio, how many were physical books, any little stats that I would be interested in knowing, I will put it here. And so this is my last page, and then afterwards I have quite a few amount of pages for my monthly setups as well. This is my 2025 journal. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, about any of the stickers or washi tapes that I ended up using, you can let me know. And yeah, that's it. That is my 2025 reading journal. I am so happy with it. I love the way that it came out. I loved all the purples and all the stickers, and I think it came out really cute. So let me know any 2025 reading challenges that you're doing, or any 2025 reading goals that you have. Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching. See you next time.